Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar where Nibra Academic is joined by IFG College to discuss the Medical Foundation Programme. My name is Ella and I am the Digital Marketing Assistant at Nibra Academic, and I will be moderating the webinar today. Nibra Academic partners with universities, colleges and higher education institutions. We do this to help international students in their study abroad journey, and we provide these services through multilingual webinars. IFG College works to fulfill students' academic dreams by providing pathways to university, and they are dedicated to offering students support in their journey to higher education. Today's webinar will involve the staff from IFG College talking about the Medical Foundation pathway, as well as there being the opportunity for those watching to ask questions. Also, if you would like to watch in Arabic, please change the channel at the bottom of your screen. We're very happy to be joined by Michael, the Academic Director of IFG College, and Stefan, the Director of Marketing and Partnerships at IFG. I'm now going to pass on to Stefan to talk more about IFG and the Medical Foundation course.
Thank you very much, Ella. As Ella said, I am the Director of Marketing and Partnerships at IFG, and I'm joined by my colleague, Michael, who's the Academic Director. Today we'll talk you through our foundation programs in general, with a particular focus on the Medical Foundation and how we'll give you the skills and knowledge you need to succeed at university, whether you be studying a medical degree or a medical related undergraduate degree, such as biochemistry, pharmacy or physiotherapy. I'll start off today's presentation by talking a little bit more about foundation programs and in particular IFG. I'll then ask Michael to take over and talk a little bit about the Medical Foundation and the knowledge and skills you'll get during the foundation course and the assistance to help you progress to universities. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about our partner universities who recognise our Medical Foundation course, and we hope you'll be progressing on to. And also Michael will give a little update on our latest partner in Sarajevo in Bosnia, Sarajevo School of Science and Technology, who we visited a couple of weeks ago. So I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about IFG. We are an international pre-university pathway provider. That means we deliver courses that prepare you for university. Often, international students will need a pathway course before going to university in the UK or other countries. We have two campuses, one in London and one in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. We also offer our foundation programs in our virtual classroom, which allows students to join online and listening to and participate in lessons happening in London. We also have a worldwide network of partner teaching centres. So if you're lucky enough to live in Egypt or Iraq or Nigeria, you can actually study an IFG Medical Foundation programme in your own country. So a little bit about our London campus. We're located in Bond Street, walking distance to London's famous Oxford Street, centre of London, essentially. Anywhere you need to go, you can get to in central London from Bond Street by bus or the tube or the subway system in London. We highly recommend that you book accommodation before you start your course in London. And to do that, we basically work with different providers around London to arrange your accommodation for you. Our Abu Dhabi campus is a brand new building in an area well known for coffee shops and restaurants. Most people in Abu Dhabi drive, so we have free parking for IFG students. And we also work with a local hotel to provide accommodation, which is 7 minutes from college. And as I said, if you wish to join the Medical Foundation in Egypt or Nigeria or Iraq, rather than London or Abu Dhabi, you can do that as well. And our local partner will also arrange accommodation if it's required. So, big question to everyone. What is a foundation program? I'm sure you've all heard of UK A-levels and the International Baccalaureate Diploma, which are recognised by UK universities. Maybe not as well known are foundation programs. Foundation programs are essentially a 9-month academic course, and they are recognised by universities as being equivalent to A-levels and the IB diploma. So if you're looking for an alternative to A-levels or IB, the foundation is a great opportunity for you. There are several differences between A-levels and the foundation program. One is the length. A foundation program is essentially a 1-year course you take after high school. The teaching focus is very much built based on the skills you'll need at university, and the assessments and exams you have will also help you prepare you for university, such as group work, presentations, and projects. One thing we do, we really focus on during our foundation programs, whether we be doing our medical foundation or our computer science foundation, is the one-to-one university advice and support you get. Michael, our academic director, or a member of his staff will take you through your university choices, also give you feedback on your application and your personal statement, which universities require to see if you're suitable. We also help you with practice for medical school interviews. If you need to progress, if you want to go to a medical university, so in medicine, after our foundation course, you'll need to do an interview, and we give you all the support and practice you need on that. We also give you support on English language. All our courses contain academic English lessons. And if you feel your English isn't quite ready for the foundation program, or you need a little bit extra support, we offer pre-sessional English prior to the main course. So our courses start in September and January, but you can visit us 3 months beforehand to study English. So foundation programs. We offer specialized foundation programs in business management, social sciences, which is essentially law, politics, and economics, computer science, engineering, and also, as I mentioned, the IFG Medical Foundation program, which Michael will now talk about in more detail. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks, Stefan. Okay, let's just give you a little bit of information on the Medical Foundation course itself. So if you look on the left-hand screen, you've got the different modules. So you have 2 biology modules, 2 chemistry modules. They are similar standard to A-level, but focusing very much on the biology and chemistry that you would require at medical school. We have a module on measurement in life sciences, which looks at helps with the physics and maths that you will need at medical school. It also looks at sort of computing a little bit, how you apply computing principles to biological problems. The medicine, disease, and society, that's a really nice module in that it takes a more social view of medicine and healthcare in different countries. It gives you a little bit of information on history of medicine and so on. And then the final module is really very much at degree standard in that you take a topic and you do a little bit of your own research into that topic, and the tutor helps you to choose a suitable topic. So it's equivalent to A-level, but much more geared towards what you're going to study and how you're going to study at university, whether you're doing medicine, dentistry, or whether you're doing other biomedical pathways like biochemistry or pharmacy, and so on. And as Stefan said, you get academic English support during the course. One of the conditions that you'll have to fulfill to get into medical school is a certain level of English language, and we give you preparation for the test for that, mainly IELTS test. And then lastly, as Stefan said, we give preparation for medical school interviews, and they vary a lot from one medical school to another. Some and I think we'll come on to that in the next slide a little bit. As far as the entry requirements are concerned, they're going to vary from one country to another. So we're looking at, you know, good grades at high school, particularly in maths and biology and chemistry. But as I said, they're going to vary a little bit between one country and another. And secondly, we're looking at having a level of English, which A, will mean that you can cope with the course, and B, will mean that by the end of our course, you'll have the IELTS level, the academic English level, which you will need to get into medical school. Stefan, can we have the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. In a part of a foundation course is to give you more knowledge, but it's also to prepare you for how you're going to study at university. And so there's a lot of focus on the skills that you're going to need, becoming a more independent learner, more self-reliant, more able to solve problems. So one example of that is the problem-based learning. And normally, you know, if you're studying biology or chemistry, you learn a little bit about the theory, and then you apply that to a real life situation. Whereas problem-based learning takes it the other way around. You look at a particular case, particular medical case, and then from looking at that, you learn about the theory. So it's sort of reversing the learning process. And it's a technique, it's a teaching method that's increasingly used at medical schools and at dental schools. The second point, their preparation for life, healthcare, science. I think that's true, and particularly the module medicine, disease, and society is helping with that, because you're not studying medicine in a vacuum. You're not studying medicine and forgetting about everything else that's going on around you. And it's important, particularly actually for the medical interviews, the entry interviews that you'll have, to have a more rounded idea of what medicine and dentistry is all about and its relationship with society in general. We help to improve the different academic skills that you're going to need at university. You know, A levels or IB, they're very much going to focus on just doing some coursework or passing an exam. And that's fine. We have exams and we have coursework as well. But then at university, there's more of a variety of assessment methods. So things like doing presentation, things like doing things within a team, things like how well you communicate. And this is very much covered in our course. And project work, again, a lot of we teach you research skills that you're going to need at university, and you will put those skills into practice in the final module, the investigations in biomedicine. And then the last thing is going back to something we had in the previous slide about the medical school interviews. All medical schools give students an interview before they offer them a firm place. And some of those interviews are traditional ones where you might have 2 or 3 interviewers, and they're just asking you general questions about how motivated you are, work experience you've got, and so on. And then, but then another method that's used by a number of universities is called multi-mini interviews, or MMIs, where you have a series of short interviews, say 5-minute interviews on different themes. So some might be on your motivation, some might be on any work experience you've got, others will be a sort of role play, others will be questions on medical ethics, and they're a bit scary, to be honest, if you for the first time. So we give students quite a lot of practice in terms of developing their skills at MMIs. Stefan, should we go on to the next slide and you talk a little bit about the medical schools that accept our course?
Yeah. Okay. Assuming you're studying your medical foundation in London, or whether you're studying Abu Dhabi, or as I said, one of our partners, you can progress to the first year of undergraduate study at the University of Central Lancashire, or UCLan Medical School, and also study in the UK at the University of Buckingham. University of Buckingham actually recognise our foundation for progression to their pre-med course, which is a 9-month medical course, but then that leads to their 4.5-year full medical course. In the UK, you can also progress to several universities, including Birmingham and Aston University, for courses in physiotherapy and biochemistry and biosciences. But you may not want to study in the UK, you may want to explore options around the world. So we work with the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, in Dublin, which is a well-renowned medical school. The RCSI, or Royal College of Surgeons, also has a partnership with another Irish university and run a medical degree course in Malaysia. So you have the option of going to Malaysia. We also work with St George's University in Grenada. St George's is actually very famous and for medical studies leading to work in the United States. So if you're looking to work as a doctor or medical practitioner in the United States, St George's is an excellent opportunity. It's in Grenada, which is in the Caribbean, so a really nice place to study. With St George's, you can also do 2 years of your medical degree in Newcastle at Northumberland University. We work with 2 universities in Cyprus, the University of Nicosia Medical School and the European University of Cyprus. One point worth remembering about medical studies at university is it is relatively expensive. If you're studying at the University of Central Lancashire, for example, I believe the international fees for medical students are approximately £45,000 per year. If, however, you decide to study at one of our 2 partners in Cyprus, annual fees are approximately €20,000, so much cheaper than studying in the UK. And finally, our newest partner is Sarajevo School of Science and Technology, or SSST for short, who are based in Bosnia. They, as in common with our partners in Cyprus, are also a very cost-effective way of studying for a medical degree. And Michael, as I mentioned earlier, actually spent a week in Sarajevo meeting with them, I think 2 weeks ago. So Michael, if you could tell us a little bit more about SSST and their facilities.
Yeah, and just one point before that is because most European medical or dental schools teaching the course in English, they have their own entrance exam. But we have got an agreement with the University of Nicosia and European University of Cyprus, and also Sarajevo Medical and Dental School, whereby they will accept our course as proof of your suitability, without having to take their entrance exam. But yeah, Sarajevo Medical School, we're really pleased to have that option. It's much cheaper than other options. It's about 13,000 a year. It's a 6-year course, but it's about 13,000 a year. And living expenses in Sarajevo are much less than in the UK or Abu Dhabi or whatever. It's a really modern, well-equipped medical school. They've got a little health center next door to them, which they own. And in that health center, they have sort of specialities like cardiology, gynecology, obstetrics. They also have a working dental clinic where ordinary members of the public can go and get treatment. So it means that students there, whether they're medical students or dental students, they have contact with patients early on in the course. They don't have to wait till the final 2 or 3 years where they will be based in a hospital. So it's as I said, it's a really nice option to have. St. George's, their fees of about $52,000 a year, 5 years, $52,000, but they do an awful lot of scholarships. And we had a student with us last year, Indian girl, and she actually was at St. George's. She was paying $24,000 a year. So they do, for deserving students, they give really generous discounts or scholarships or whatever you call them. RCSI, the RUMC option, the second option, and the best of the world category. I think it's a really nice option, and it's been very popular amongst our students because you do the first 2.5 years of your course in Ireland, either at Royal College of Surgeons or University College Dublin, and then you do your final 2.5 years at a medical school, medical hospital in Malaysia. But then your certificate, your final degree certificate, comes from Ireland. So it's it saves you a little bit of money. It gives you more experience of medicine in different countries, and a lot of our students this year have chosen that above other ones, which are the more standard degree medical school options. But I think that's enough, Stefan. Yeah, and we'd be really happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stefan and Michael, for talking to us about the course. I'm now going to ask some questions that have been sent in about the course.
Mm-hmm.
So firstly, is the course perceived well by universities?
Well,
Michael, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, medicine is really medicine and dentistry. It's really difficult to get into, and so we go to different universities like the ones listed on that slide, and ask them if they will accept our foundation as an alternative to A-levels or an alternative to international baccalaureate. And as Stefan said, it's a 1-year course rather than a 2-year course, and we're really pleased with the list of universities there that we have got acceptance of our program by.
Great.
Yeah.
And how many people are typically in a class?
Small class sizes. We would not have more than 12 in a class. So we've got more than 12 students each year, but we would divide them up into cohorts of a maximum of 12. So very different from medical school, where you're going to sit in lecture lecture theatres with about 250 others. But it means that teachers can really get to know their students. They can give them individual assistance, individual support. And that's the way we want to do it. We would not expand a cohort above 12 students per class.
Okay. And how long has the course been running?
That's a good question. About 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2006 years, since 2017.
Yeah.
It's grown a lot, and our university partners has grown considerably in that time as well. But yeah, 5-6 years. Yeah. Goes quickly.
Okay, brilliant. And if anyone watching has a question, feel free to just put it in the chat and then I'll read it out for you. Yeah. Okay, I'll just carry on while we wait for anything to come through. So what would a typical day studying the course look like?
A typical day, well, you have about 22 hours of contact time with teachers per week. So some days you might have 5 hours, some days you might have a bit less than that, but it's about 22 hours of contact time with teachers. And that's the same whether you're studying online or whether you're studying at one of our campuses. But then, the hard work is done outside of class, because it's not, medical foundation, it's a lot more difficult than, say, a business foundation. It's tougher because it's got to be tougher in order for it to be accepted by these medical schools. And you've really got to be very well motivated. You've got to be prepared to walk through fire to become a doctor. And so it's hard work, but yeah, about 22 hours of contact time, and probably you're looking at about the same again for work in between the teaching sessions.
Okay, thank you.
And one point, sorry, I was just going to add one point.
Sorry, carry on.
That's okay, sorry, Ella. I was just going 1 point to that. I think 6 hours a week of that is academic English. So you finish the course fully prepared to do your IELTS exam and get the required score for medical school. So 6 hours. But as with all things, Michael said, it's the work you do outside. So it's practicing your English as well as practicing your biology and chemistry.
True, absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, and how long will it take to get an offer for the course after someone has applied?
That's a really tricky one to answer, and it's what we do is we give an enormous amount of help to students with their different applications. Our students apply directly to the different universities they want to choose, and some universities get back to them quite quickly. Some take a long time to get back. We're still waiting for interviews for UCLan, for example, which is crazy, but it happens every year. And you think, well, has UCLan forgotten us all? And then they turn up in the end. So it does vary a lot. And of course, there's different stages. So you send off the application, you then wait. We're going to wait probably 5-6 weeks at the earliest before getting a reply, and then you'll be called for an interview. And after the interview, hopefully you get the offer after that. So it's a process that goes on throughout the year. And we started off quite early, and we started off by helping students to produce really good personal statements. And those personal statements are going to vary a little bit depending on what university they're going to apply to. So yeah, it does occupy quite a lot of time in applying, but it's worth it. It's really worth it.
Mm-hmm. And what would happen if a student applies to the course, but they haven't met the entry requirements?
Well, our course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can advise them. We can advise them on that. And like I tell you, we've got a student who's applied to us at the moment, and their grades are they're sort of borderline. They're a bit below what we would normally take. So we would have to advise them then that we don't think that those grades are good enough to get a suitable grade in our course to get into medicine. But then they've got other options. They've got options of biomedical sciences or psychology or chemistry or sports science. We've got a student doing sports science this year who's got an offer from King's in London. So we would give advice. We would give advice on whether we think those grades are good enough for medical school and for getting the grades that they need to get into medical school. And if not, we would give advice on what else they might consider in terms of applying.
Okay.
But
Brilliant.
we're not just going to say yes or no, you know.
Yeah. And would you have the same kind of attitude for a student who hasn't met the entry requirements for the university they want to attend?
Yeah, we would, because
Yeah.
there are other options. You know, there are other options of maybe doing a degree in a biomedically related subject. Most because we're not going to because we are responsible in deciding who we will take and who we will not take. Most students achieve the necessary grades to get into medical school.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, it's a terrible waste of money for students, and so we don't want to take their money, and then leave them stranded at the end of the year. So the vast majority of students who come onto the course, they get offers from universities that they want to go to.
Okay. And how are students assessed?
Different things. Some exams, coursework, presentations, team. Some presentations, some projects are done as a member of a team. Research projects and so on. So it's quite a variety of assessment methods. But you can't get away from exams altogether, which is what a lot of students want to do. But no, it's a diet of assessments which mirrors how you're going to be assessed at university, and it's quite a variety of assessment methods.
I think also just adding on to what Michael said, it mirrors how you'll be assessed at university, but it also mirrors real life. In real life, when you get a job, especially if you're working at a hospital, it's about teamwork, it's about research, it's about working together and coming up with solutions and problem solving. So we try and prepare students, or we do prepare students for the way they'll be taught at university, but also the way they'll expect to behave in the real world and being a real job.
Yeah, good point.
Basically, you don't do exams when you're in the real world. You've got a job. You get on and you work with people and get the job done.
And when medical schools are interviewing students, obviously they want to see students who are academically capable, but they also want to see if they're going to make good doctors or not. Do they have the skills, like the sort of empathy required to be a good doctor, team working skills, leadership skills, and so on. So as Stefan said, these assessment methods reflect what a medical school wants to see in a student. They don't just want to see a student who is brilliant academically but poor in terms of other aspects of being a good doctor.
Okay. And do you provide a specific module that helps students' writing skills?
Well, the academic English certainly does, because that's, writing is a key part of the IELTS test. But we do, in measurements in life science, we do include study skills, which include sort of basic research skills they need, and sort of essay construction and so on. So yeah, we do that. That's integrated into the modules.
Brilliant. And do you provide any work experience opportunities?
We're looking at that. There's an increasing number of sort of virtual shadowing. It's quite difficult for us to provide that, because the course, when they're doing the course, they've got to really focus on the course. But we do recommend various shadowing schemes. SGU have a shadowing course that they run, which we can recommend students to. And we're looking at the idea of sort of virtual internships, which would include medicine at the moment. So it's a good point, and it's certainly something that we're building on at the moment.
Okay, and what is the support like for international students?
Stefan, do you want to?
Yeah. When students arrive, we have an orientation with them, and they get lots of pre-arrival. So taking it back one step, when someone enrolls on the course, they get a full details of pre-arrival, what to bring to the UK or to Abu Dhabi, what their life's going to be like, etc., etc. And when they arrive, we have an orientation week where they get to know each other and know the teachers. And we can advise on things to do in London. I know in Abu Dhabi, for example, they have a full program of activities that students can do on a weekly basis, visiting various places in Abu Dhabi and getting to know their new home, basically. So we give them full support. And I think as a small college, both Abu Dhabi and London, with small classes, that helps to develop friendships with people from other countries, people on your course. Our teachers are very friendly and open and give advice, and if people are struggling with anything. We also work with an organisation called Together All, who gives support and advice if people need it for mental health. So yeah, we basically give them information before they arrive, have an orientation week, guide them on where to go, arrange various activities for them, and in general, just there to listen if needed.
And also on an academic side, we have really good resources to back up the lessons that students get in terms of presentations or so on. And one other thing we've got is each student has access to an online library of about 1 million textbooks. It's an online library called library called Perligo, and so students have access to that. So they're not short. Students are not short of study material to help with them and to reinforce the lessons that they've attended in the classroom.
Okay, and how many credits is each module worth?
Same. Each one is the same. So each of the 7 modules is 20 credits, and then we take, so that's out of 140, and then we take the mark out of 140, and we turn it into a percentage.
Okay, and do you provide any career support?
Well, we do, but most, the students want to be doctors, so or dentists. So I do tell them at the beginning of the year that they've got to be mad to want to become doctors, because there's about 10,000 easier ways of earning a living than being a doctor. But students really want to, if you've got a passion to be a doctor, as I said, you're going to walk through fire to achieve that. We do give, by the end of the course, students should have a very good idea of what being a doctor is all about, or being a dentist is all about, and they will know the difference between what they see on programs like Grey's Anatomy and the real world, you know.
Great, thank you. And have you got anything else to add before we end the webinar?
No, I don't. Do Stefan?
No, nothing comes to mind. Apart from if you've got any, if people do have questions afterwards, obviously they can contact you and you can pass it on to us, and we'll get back to them.
What we do though with medicine, because it's a really tough decision to know what foundation course to go on to, and so once a student's applied and we've made them an offer, we do arrange a sort of online meeting, not to interview them for a place, but so that the students and perhaps their parents can, you know, ask very detailed questions. So they've got ample chance to have, you know, I really don't want somebody coming onto our course who doesn't have a very clear idea of what the course is all about. So those online conversations we have with students, I think, help to achieve that.
Yeah. And
okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for watching today's NIBRA academic webinar, and thank you to Stefan and Michael from IFG College for joining us today. If students have any questions about the medical foundation pathway, you can either contact NIBRA Academic or IFG College to find out more information. So you can do that through email or just DMing on Instagram as well. So thank you for watching and have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.
Hello. Okay. Thank you.